All right, we're live. Super excited. We thought we were gonna do something a little bit different today. Literally just 5 minutes ago, 5 seconds ago, we were gonna say, let's just press rec and skip the intro. We're gonna listen to something beautiful. So you're the host here.
Okay.
You take over. You've heard this, right?
Yes.
Before.
This is one of my favorite albums ever. And this was my introduction to Joni Mitchell. And yeah, before starting the channel, I had never heard anything else of Joni's. I don't know why. And when I came across this album, it was in a time where like you would download things, and very rarely did I ever download a full album, but this one I did. I don't know why.
Was it available as a full album download, or did you look for all the songs? I'm gonna literally interview Alexia right now.
It was available as a full album.
Really?
Because otherwise I wouldn't know exactly like the order of the songs, because I remember having to do that, looking up the order, and I don't remember having to do that with this one. But yeah, I downloaded it as a full thing.
Now, really quickly, Joni, if you're watching this, look behind me. There's your album. So we did buy it.
Yes.
So just really quickly, we do own the original, because we're talking about downloading. And yes, it was a very...
and it was just a common thing where we were living at the time.
Yeah, in Mexico,
wasn't like, we were the underground pirates. It was just like everyone.
No, and also in Mexico, it's just very hard to buy music. It's very, very overpriced. It's not the original price that it is sold anywhere, like in England or the States. It's like 10 times. So it's like unaffordable. So you had to recur to other alternatives.
Or you would like buy it off of someone else.
Yeah.
But then the quality was so bad.
Yeah.
So it was just like...
Yeah, a burnt version.
Yeah.
Now, how did this album like influence your life?
Oh, man. I think that when I heard this album... Well, first of all, it was from the 70s. So that was something that really called out to me because I already liked music from the 70s, like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. But I think this was my first like folk influence album of the 70s, and it was just life-changing, and to know what could be done with just like a guitar, a voice, a piano,
right?
So and true. That's it. There was no like, it wasn't a rock band, and it was just this one chick who like sings so beautifully and does things so differently. Like we've talked about the way that she articulates her like
the
sentences.
Phrasing.
Yeah.
And that sometimes she sings more words, or she elongates. It's so wonderful. You're so right. What you can do with just a voice and a guitar, or sometimes even less, just a voice and maybe just like a shaker, for rhythm. We saw this often in like buses in Mexico. It was still allowed. Now it's not allowed anymore, even in Mexico. People would just get on a bus and have like something like this and do that was their very, very accurate. Very, very accurate.
Random sounds coming out of people.
Yeah. Oh, I always saw when we went to Mexico, when we went to Tijuana. Remember that I told you, my God, he's just strumming. Yeah. And he was not doing any chords.
No.
He was not playing it. He was just strumming. He was just strumming and singing like random music. Random sounds coming out of him, but in the end it was music. Yeah. People were giving him, obviously not like they were not throwing the money at him, but it's like it's still better than stealing.
Yes, exactly.
So that is so cool that now when you hear stuff like Nick Drake that we've discovered through the channel, how does that make you feel when you listen to Nick Drake or like Cat Stevens, which is very similar in style, of Bob Dylan? Does it take you back to those days?
It does, and it's very heartwarming because it's like knowing that it's like a whole genre, you know, it wasn't just her. Like, of course she did so many things in such a unique way, and she was very talented in so many ways. But yes, listening to those artists is just feels good because it's just as warm and just as like touching, you know, that as her. So yeah, and this album means a lot to me. I've listened to it many times, you know, in so many different settings, and I've always wanted to share this album with you. And I think when we started the channel, that's why I was like, can I please show you Joni Mitchell? And you were like, of course. And we did a case of you. That was our first Joni ever reaction. And I was just like, every time we do a reaction of hers that I'm showing you, like we did Blue, we did River, California. And recently California, I'm just like, can we just listen to the full album? You know, because it's all just, I don't know, it's about so many things, and you can just, I think you said this last time with Joni, it feels like she actually lived through these things, you know, and that's how this whole album makes you feel like you're inside of her for a little bit. I
love when I hear Joni Mitchell's lyrics that it feels lived in. It feels like things that happen, and she writes them down. Just like we just saw this documentary. I'm not going to mention the name, you know.
Yeah.
And I love that the person kept a diary, even through their darkest days. You know, I think it's a great idea to write stuff down because we do forget a lot of things that we live through. And I think it's nice to keep a diary, and you can look back 10 years and say, wow.
And even just the process of writing it, like I have this app on my phone called Journal, and it's really cool because it's like an electronic version, and it even like helps you. Like it sent me a suggestion like, oh, your evening at the building where our friend lives that we did Friendsgiving. Like it gives you suggestions on things to write about it. You can add pictures, you can add stickers and different like titles and stuff. And it's just the process of writing down the stuff kind of brings you back to that moment, and also helps you reflect like feelings about those moments that maybe you wouldn't have thought about because, oh, I already lived it. It's gone. Now I'm here. Yeah. You know, but just kind of going back and reflecting is also very important. And then when you read it years later, obviously it has another impact, you know.
And I think that was a huge, like I've obviously not talked to Joni Mitchell, but I think didn't Rick Beato interview her? So I think once we watch it, it's going to be confirmed, but I think that was a process she would do. She would just write down stuff and then use it for her songs. And I think it's very cool. And a lot of people do that. I mean,
like journaling is a great way of writing. And yes, then for songwriting, you can probably later take ideas from your journal and turn them into, instead of a journal version, like a poem version.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing because when we listened to California, she was like in Spain and stuff. And maybe that was like 3 months of living in Spain, but it's only one line in the song. Yes. That's a beautiful thing, you know. She did use that memory maybe just for one line.
Yep.
So
exactly.
It's a wonderful thing.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we're gonna we're gonna start the reaction right now. It's gonna be very difficult for me because Joni hits like certain points in that trigger my soul, and I'm just gonna cry throughout the whole thing.
And that's okay. It's okay.
But I think we can even put this video on YouTube as an introduction because this is gonna be on Patreon. And so we can say like an introduction because it was a little bit of an interview. I felt like I was kind of like interrogating you there for a second. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing to know how you got, you know, to know this. And how old were you when you listened to this for the first time?
It was very shortly before I met you. So I was like, it was maybe a year or two before you and I met. So I was maybe 16.
Wow. That's a beautiful age to discover music.
I think, and it just came at that time when there was a lot of changes happening, you know, like you're in high school, but like I was in a new high school, and then it was just like a lot of changes.
You were in that same high school that I was in, and you hated it, right?
Well, that was middle school.
Oh,
I never went there for high school.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I remember high school. When you were in high school, we were already together. But yeah, let us know if you were 16 when you heard this the first time. This is 1971. Yeah. Wow, what a year, what a decade, you know, to start music for all these bands that came out with their best work in the 70s. And imagine the Beatles were literally disbanding at the time this was recorded. Crazy stuff. Yes. But yeah, let us know what you think. And we're going to do now an introduction to the album. So I guess that's the video. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Enjoy. If you want to watch this on Patreon, head over there. We'll have the full uncut album reaction on there for you guys that you voted for on the poll, by the way, too. So thank you. Bye.
Bye.